Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Soundbites of Your Immigration Success. It's a new CAPIC podcast that we're starting, and we're happy to welcome Rupali Gulati for our inaugural session. My name is Monica O'Brien. I am the Education Manager and Stakeholder Engagement at CAPIC. I'm also an immigration consultant, but this session is about Rupali. So Rupali, tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to enter the immigration profession.
Hi, Monica. Thank you for having me here today. A little bit about myself in a nutshell. I have been in the Canadian immigration business for about 23 years. I'll be completing 23 years this September. And about 10 years out of this association with Canadian immigration, I was an RCIC employee. I was an immigration case analyst at the Canadian High Commission in New Delhi, India. The latter half, or more than half now, of my immigration involvement with Canadian immigration is on this side of the table. Initially, I worked as an immigration case manager at a law firm. And thereafter, I decided that, okay, I was ready to, take the plunge myself and start my own practice. So I started my own practice, and currently I run a full service immigration consultancy firm located at the Oakville, Mississauga border in Ontario. That's a little bit about myself. Obviously, I'm here because I love it. And when I say I love it, I don't just love it for revenue reasons, right? The practice is up and running, and I pay my bills, and I'm happy with the practice for that reason. But other than that too, I am here because I have, well, sounds cliched, but it is something that really excites me, getting people the help they require, giving them the advice that they require, giving them the guidance they require. If they have already slipped into a situation, trying to pull them out of it, and be able to successfully do that, guide people and see them realize their dreams. It brings more than revenue. It brings an amazing kick to the spirit and to the soul. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons my association with Canadian immigration only strengthened over the years. So and that's pretty much that. That's how I am here. I started it. When I started it as employment, and thereafter I found my love for it. In addition to that being my profession, and I have only loved it more with the passage of time.
I love the way you shared that with us, because you've come full circle. You were working at a visa post on one side of the table where you were assessing cases. Then you made the journey yourself as an immigrant, and were able to understand the shoes that your previous clients on either side of the table have been through. And then once here, after settling in, you made that decision to do representation. And I love the fact that you see it as a business, a profession, but more than that, you see it as being part of your client's journey and helping them to succeed.
Yeah, it's Canadian immigration practice is food for the soul, and food for the philanthropic soul, I'd say.
Wonderful. I love that quote. I might use it. So we're doing these podcast series because we wanted to talk about the success of our colleagues, but we also wanted to talk about some of the challenges that our colleagues face in the profession. So I'm wondering if you could share a couple of challenges that you've had. I know that you wanted to talk about two, whether it is just when you were starting out or whether it's today. So I'll pass the mic over to you.
Like any profession, immigration consulting also has its own challenges. And having been on this road for a while, I can tell you that some of the challenges will come and go. And one day you will think that, hey, was I ever worried about that? That's not even a challenge. Oh, I think I was just anxious. And some will never go away. And they're not even challenges. They're just the way the practice is. So starting out, my biggest thing was, how do I get started and have a steady inflow of clients, and the anxiety about getting established and and getting started and making it profitable. And when I look back, what I realize now is that some of the anxiety when when we embark on a new career is understandable. When we start something new, there is some inbuilt, anxiety plus eagerness plus enthusiasm in the whole thing. Now when I think back, I'm like, some of it was truly a little bit of worrying more than I should have. So boiling it down into baby steps, I realized that what I had worried for the most in the very beginning was to have enough business, and the second was to have the confidence that I can successfully do for my client what my client is looking for. uh, Now, regarding is there, to have enough business, trust me, there is enough to go around. There is truly enough to go around. And it all boils down to having some very strong marketing techniques in today's times, and some very strong networking, and some strong and continuous marketing and networking, actually. And the other thing that really paid off is, although I was familiar with Canadian immigration, I realized that networking with peers, networking with other colleagues, helped in a very big way. Not only those who had been around and done it for longer than me, but also those who had started pretty much around the same time that I had started, and those who were just starting out. Because that gives you a sense of belonging. That gives you a sense of having a hold over your practice, because then you realize that you are facing the same set of situations that practically every other practitioner is facing, so you don't feel isolated. Otherwise, it may tend to sometimes feel like a lonely profession. So I think for a person freshly starting up, if I could go back and change something, I would worry less and focus more on marketing, networking, and keeping myself abreast with the latest. These are the three things I would do with a lot more passion and a lot less worry. uh, Monica, I feel that even if we mindlessly keep doing it, even if we mindlessly keep educating ourselves, keeping abreast with the latest, even if we mindlessly keep networking without giving a thought to what am I achieving out of it, no, nothing, just do it. And then you will realize that what an amazing, great thing it is to network with people from the same profession. And the third thing, which has changed a lot since the time I started out, is marketing, making yourself visible, and business comes. When you do these three things, well, I believe you don't need to do anything else. That's what I feel. As new practitioners, this is probably the magic mantra that helps.
I want to follow that up, Rupali. Thank you for that. So it's marketing, networking, and continuous learning. I want to ask you then, when you started off, how valuable then has been a member of CAPIC in terms of all three of those things, in terms of your marketing, in terms of networking, in terms of your continuous learning? Would you make that a recommendation for anybody entering the profession? Being part of the professional association is a must?
Even my briefest answer will be the clearest. I joined CAPIC years ago. I don't know how many years ago. I have never become a member of any other association because I haven't needed to, because the three things that I spoke about, at least two of those three things are very famously more than more than I can manage, taken care of at CAPIC. One is the networking. You get to meet people at every level of the profession, people who've been around for 30 years, 35 years, and people who started 30 days ago. And everyone in between. You get to network with all of them. And regarding updating yourself continuously, once you are part of CAPIC, if you are on the forum, or even if you are just looking at CAPIC's broadcast, listening to podcasts, watching the CPDs, following CAPIC on social media, uh, I think you will check the boxes without a doubt. So the association with CAPIC has been fulfilling to the extent that I have never felt the need to become associated with anywhere else. And also with the whole plethora of material and options and opportunities available, I don't think I'm even able to make use of all. There are so many to choose from. So that way, yes, I mean,
Well,
that is the clearest answer I could give, that it is the one of the most amazing things that I've done. And I'm not, I'm not saying this um, only as an established practitioner, as a start out as well. CAPIC was kind of, that lifeline, that, oh yeah, there is light at the end of this tunnel. CAPIC is telling me. See, there are so many people out there at CAPIC who are doing the same journey, who are on the same journey, having the same needs as me, and then being catered to by everything that CAPIC makes available.
and I really want this to be about you. And thank you for making that note. I agree with you. I think for anybody starting off, being part of their professional association, no matter your profession that you're in, is a fundamental. But we spoke prior to before coming on air, and you noted for you something that you struggle with, and I found it really interesting. And I wonder if you can speak to this, was sort of dealing with the emotional collection of your clients and sort of maintaining
Yes.
that facade of.
Yes, yeah, I remember we were speaking about that. Uh, the preliminary challenge, as a new start out is, is there enough business? How do I generate enough business, and how do I keep my client happy, and all of those things. Further down the ride, further on this ride, fast forward several years, you will realize that you have addressed a lot of challenges, and I realized that while many of the things were passing phases, the one challenge that doesn't go away, it's not even a challenge, I think it is just the way our profession is to, on a day-to-day basis, deal with the client emotionality, the collective anxiety, the collective emotionality of our collective clientele. Everybody is very emotional about immigration to Canada, visit visa to the biggest applications. Because Canadian immigration means the life and future of a family, people are emotional about it. And that collective emotionality and anxiety is something that has never gone away. So over the years, I only learned to deal with it better and better and better. And it's still evolving. That is one of those things which will not change in any practice. Your clientele will always be kind of, anxious and worked up about their matters. And you will deal with it more and more and more as your practice evolves.
So how do you deal with that? How do you maintain that empathy and connection with your clients, but also being businesslike at the end of the day, because you're giving them a service?
Yes. I believe the simple mantra here is that make empathy a part of your personality, make empathy, compassion, and generally a sense of philanthropy a general part of your personality while while dealing with your collective client base, not necessarily a specific individual client. Uh, have a general empathy, that's what I try to do everything, to have a general sense of empathy for the entire client base. And with that background set, when I deal with them, I think the mantra that I try to remember at all times is to to respond and to not react, to think with my head and not with my heart. When we talk to our clients, all of us, I always try to remind myself that I am a logical person trying to deal with and respond to an emotional person. And logic and emotion do not always belong together. So here is my takeaway. The one takeaway I have had from from the cross section of my clientele, I have come across many businessmen who we can say were very successful businessmen, and they were businessmen from all industries, all personality types, and high net worth, ultra high net worth, start outs. But there is one common denominator quality that I saw was present in all progressively successful businessmen, and that was that they all of them think with their head. They respond, not react. Might sound like very easy, but I realized that the more I put that into practice, the more I notice how people do not get perturbed by smaller things, is what propels them to become better entrepreneurs. Like, I think I benefited from not responding to an emotional client with emotion, whether they were super happy or whether they were super angry or whether they were super sad. What has worked very beautifully, as I see, is to always have the fact in mind that we are creatures of logic, happy for them when things go well for them. And yet, while dealing with the client, the idea is to, I still struggle with it on occasions, but the idea is to make it part and parcel of your personality, to deal with your clients forever thinking that, okay, I'm dealing with a client, I'm thinking with my head. I'm responding with my head. I'm not reacting with my heart.
I love the wisdom that you've imparted, because as you say, the journey for so many is so part of emotion. So many are making huge life changes. They're uprooting their families, they're moving to a new country, they're making big decisions. So it's hard not to be as emotional as they are. And of course, when they're happy, we're happy, and we empathize with them. But I'm going to end it here, Rupali. There's so much more that we could talk about, given your long experience on both sides of the desk, your experience as an entrepreneur, a professional, and as being a partner in the journey with your clients. I'm going to give you the last words. And what would be the maybe give me the word that you think would be really important to a new person starting out in the profession, a word or a sentence? What would it be?
Okay, a sentence would be, organize yourselves. There are volumes waiting for you. Tap into it. It's again, Monica, sorry, I ran over a sentence. You gave me just a sentence too. Okay. So I think the one takeaway would be that immigration is a huge industry, and everybody, each one of us can find our niche and get established if we keep abreast of the latest, we network, and we just persevere.
Yeah, I really excellent advice wherever you are in your career. And I want to circle back to something that you said in the beginning. You said you had a lot of worries when you started off. You were anxious about finding clients. You were anxious about being able to pay yourself and help support your family. There's a lot of anxiety. And so maybe the last piece that we could add would be here is focus less on the worry and focus just on those other aspects like getting organized and networking, and those things will come.
Absolutely, they will. They absolutely will. And like I said, now when I think back, I realized that there were so many things that seemed like there were so many challenges that seemed like humongous monsters. And today, when I think back, they really weren't. It was just a matter of getting organized and getting started.
So I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Rupali. It's been a pleasure. We thank all of you for listening today. Thank you for listening to Soundbites of Immigration Success. Thank you, Rupali.
Thank you, Monica, for having me over.
Thanks, everybody.